A successful business includes a customer-focused privacy policy. What is consumer privacy? Customer privacy, or consumer privacy, refers to the protection of personal data held by businesses about individuals and their transactions. As e-commerce has become a standard way of buying goods and services, consumers have become more aware of the risk of online activity and the value of their data. How is customer data usually collected? Most businesses use several methods to collect customer data, and they must ensure that A, they have a lawful reason for doing so, and B, the customer is fully informed of what information is being recorded and why. Here are some common examples of how customer data is collected. Usually via an online form or a phone call, or via registering a certain purchase against an account name. It can also be done using a social account to log in to a website, comments on review sites. Customer privacy and why it's essential for your business. Knowledge is power, and knowledge of personal information gives anyone who possesses it power. The power is taking control of online accounts, to withdraw money from your bank account, or to enter restricted areas protected by passwords or codes. As such, it has been essential for organizations to protect their customers' data. With the birth and proliferation of the internet, the amount of personal data collected, stored, and used by businesses has grown exponentially. This has made enterprise a prime target for cyber criminals. Additionally, your customers have the right to know exactly how their data is stored, used, and shared. You wouldn't be comfortable with people sharing your private information in person without your knowledge. So why accept it on an online network? By analyzing customer data, you can provide a better service, product, or experience by more accurately understanding their demands, needs, interests, and behaviors. Knowing your customer demographics can often be derived from date of birth, transactional history, social media activity, customer preferences, and behavioral patterns. Businesses will often also store email addresses and bank details. While data can be extremely valuable to your business, keep in mind that not every customer wants a tailored product or experience. Many people prefer their relationship with a company to be purely transaction-based. Giving people the choice ensures that you will retain the respect and trust of your customers. As businesses are known for storing bank details, passwords and codes, and email addresses, they become the target of criminals. Protecting customer privacy prevents this sensitive information from being misused for fraud or criminal activity. However, while it's your moral responsibility to safely store all this data, it's also your legal obligation. Most countries have some kind of data protection legislation. Within the EU, the GDPR law is in place to protect consumer data, while Australia introduced the CDR to similarly give consumers greater access to and control over their data. In the US, different states implement different rules. California, for example, follows the CCPA. You should also consider your reputation as a business. The reputational damage of having a data breach could cost you more than the breach itself. More than 2/3 of consumers believe that privacy practices are related to a company's trustworthiness, only marginally outranked by a company's dependability and pricing. As such, earning and maintaining the trust of customers is more important than ever, with news of data breaches and cybercrime making headlines. Fail to earn consumer trust, and you will fail to grow your business. You might wonder, do consumers really care about privacy? Consumers are growing increasingly concerned about the data collected on them, its value, and how to protect their privacy. Cisco reports that 84% of consumers want more control over how their data is used, and 90% believe the ways their data is treated reflects how they are treated as customers. This group will fundamentally not make purchases from companies if they don't trust how their data is used. Cisco also revealed that around 32% of consumers are so concerned about their privacy that they're willing to act by switching companies or providers due to their data sharing policies. So how can you protect customer data? So now you know the importance of protecting your customers' data. We need to discuss the best ways to protect that information. Only collect and store customer data that your business needs. The less data you have, the less you can lose. Using this logic, you should only be collecting and storing the data that your business requires. For example, if your web page does not offer to store your customers' payment details for future purchases, don't store their bank details. Not only will this make you less vulnerable, but will also limit the damage caused if there is a data breach. By limiting the access you grant to the personal data that you store, you are limiting the risk of exposure. If few employees have access, you are reducing your chances of an internal breach and creating fewer targets for external breaches. This may also make it easier to detect the cause of a breach if a criminal has accessed your databases. Make it a practice to use password management tools. Password management tools can do a lot of security work for you. Rather than using basic passwords that are easy to hack, having complex passwords that you are regularly forgetting, or having all of your company passwords located in one shared document, utilizing a password manager will allow you to use hard-to-crack passwords with ease. While you are putting your faith in an external business, you can read online reviews about the different password managers available and find one that suits your business, budget, and security standards. It is important to avoid data silos. Data silos can cause issues within your business, often a lack of transparency and trust. Rather than isolating data within one department of your enterprise, ensure you invest in the most efficient and integrated technology that will allow all relevant departments to access the data they need securely. This way, you can maintain good oversight of who has access to what and avoid duplication of data sets, and thus multiplication of potential vulnerabilities. You also need to set minimum security standards. After conducting a data protection audit, it's a good idea to find the vulnerabilities in your business and set some security standards. While these are standards that the whole business should abide by, some regulations may only apply to certain people with additional access or specific roles that focus on IT. For example, you may set standards on who can access what, how passwords are stored, or where data is accessed from. Start by creating a policy. You should create a privacy policy for your customers to read. This is necessary to keep customers informed of what happens to their data, but it will also help demonstrate that your business is reliable, trustworthy, and honest. It will also hold you accountable for your actions. Make it a policy that is easy to understand and set out clear limits on the sharing of personal information. Most countries require that a certain minimum of transparency information be outlined for customers in a privacy policy, such as the type of personal data to be collected, the purpose of the collection, how it will be used, including remaking and cookies, a means for users to exercise their privacy or data protection rights, a system for keeping users updated when there are changes. Even if you don't collect personal information, you should disclose this fact in a privacy policy. So what makes up a good privacy policy? A good privacy policy centers around the customer's needs, behaviors, and concerns. It offers details around how customers' information will be collected and used, and reassurances that it won't be manipulated for other purposes, such as marketing or selling to third parties without notification or permission. Get familiar with the laws that exist to protect consumer data. While specific web-based laws have not always been around to protect consumers, over the past decade, nations have been introducing legislation to protect how consumer data is used, stored, and shared. While the specifics of each legislation will differ within each region, the general rule of thumb is organizations that collect or process customers' personal information must publish and abide by a privacy policy and facilitate some levels of consumer choice over how their data is handled. While details vary, the EU GDPR gives a good gauge of the nature of these laws. For example, organizations must be transparent about how and why they process personal data and present this information in clear, intelligible terms. Data gathered must be limited to what an organization needs to meet a specific purpose, such as to deliver a service to the customer. The organization must ensure that the data is accurate and up to date. Organizations must use security measures such as encryption, two-factor authentication, and/or tamper-evident logging to maintain data integrity and confidentiality. Organizations are accountable for data, and a paper trail must be used to demonstrate compliance. Protecting consumer data from unauthorized access by implementing comprehensive business antivirus across your IT infrastructure is sound business practice. Protecting your customers' privacy will result in increased consumer loyalty, which directly affects your bottom line.